Hey guys, welcome back to the OHA Forge. I'm here with OHA George.
Hey guys, how you doing?
There he is. So today we are going to be recreating some of the glory that was at Holes for Hobbits this weekend. Evan Woodruff of the OHA and OSBGL and Home and any other acronym that you can think of hosted an event. It was a lot of fun, had a blast. So we're going to play with some of the lists that we had come up with for that event. So we're going to be doing 369 points. Quick, fast games. We're going to try to keep it to 45 minutes. I don't know how much of that's going to translate onto camera, but hopefully fairly quick game. We're going to try to get a few different bat reps in. So today we're going to be playing Scenario 10, which is Heirloom of Ages Past. The only difference is this was not a scenario that was featured at the event, so it's a little outside of the structure, but no big deal. We are going to be facing off first with Isengard and Erebor. Classic Erebor, not even Erebor Reclaimed. Correct, George?
That's correct.
That's correct.
That's correct.
So, my army is Isengard. It's titled The Coming of the White Hand. So it consists Warband 1, Orc Captain, 4 Orc with Bow, 4 with Shield, 4 with Spear, for a total of 112 points. My second Warband is Saruman, Grima Wormtongue, 3 Orc with Shield, 2 with Spear, 2 Uruk-hai with Crossbow, 1 Uruk-hai with Shield for a total of 257 points. Grand total 369. Model count 22. Breakpoint 11. 25% value is 6. I will be facing off against George's Army of Thror, which will consist of a Captain of Erebor and 12 Erebor warriors. And then we have Young Thorn Oakenshield with 7 Grimhammers. So that is what is going to face the hordes of Isengard. So we've gone ahead and set up the objectives. So we've got 1, 2, 3 objectives here. And then, of course, George, on your side, your objectives. So obviously the goal here is to search and attempt to find the heirloom. We only find the heirloom on a roll of a 6. So it's going to make things interesting, especially with stubby-legged dwarves. So looking forward to that. So that's the table. We're going to get into deployment. We'll deploy the armies, and we'll get into the first turn right up here. And here we are for the big priority turn 1, and it is an epic fail on both sides. However, Erebor squeaked out a win with a 2 over my 1. Thank you very much, Articon Dice. We'll be right back with the first turn recap. Alright guys, so here we are, first turn, first model, movement, ends in base contact with the heirloom. And George pulls out a big 6. So, here we are. If you have a quick look as a recap of deployment, my 2 warbands are on the far side of the table. George has uncovered the warband on the opposite side, as far away from me as possible. And I now have 2 full warbands of dwarves to contest with to get that heirloom. So it is going to make the game most interesting. So bravo to George for the big roll. What do you think, big guy?
Epic roll.
Okay, guys, so here we are at the end of turn 1. So, as we recapped earlier, George was lucky enough to roll a big 6 to pull the heirloom up out of the dirt. So this warband has moved into support. Thorn Oakenshield along here with his Grimhammers, and of course Grima Wormtongue are over on this side. They're making some sort of flanking move. Saruman here, obviously understanding he needs to get up into the fight. Everybody is advancing, as well as my orcs in this corner here. So obviously some adjustment to the strategy, given the fact that George was lucky enough to unearth that heirloom right off the bat. So
can't believe it.
That is the end of turn 1. Why don't we go ahead and roll for priority? So that is a 6 for the Uruk-hai and a 4. That's a big 4 for the dwarves of Erebor. So we're going to go ahead, get into turn 2, and we will bring you back for a recap. Alright guys, here we are at the end of turn 2. We've had some developments, nothing major. The Orc Captain, which is being represented by the Mordor Uruk-hai, did a heroic march to get those troops up a little closer to that objective, which for the sake of the game is being represented by the fire pit. So George obviously tied in his flank a bit. We got George trying to deal with the ever-present Grima to try to break Thorn Oakenshield away from his influence. We had 2 crossbow shots from the Uruk-hai here, and Saruman marching his column up to the opposite end of the board. So, why don't we go ahead and roll for priority, George? So that is a 3 for George and a 5 for me. Alright guys, so here we are back at the end of turn 3. So, what we had here was the Dwarves of Erebor tied in their front with the heirloom, wanting to protect it. And the Orcs actually just formed into line to get ready for the upcoming assault, hoping that maybe the archers could soften up those dwarves, but obviously with such a high defense, it's going to be a tall order, right, George?
Absolutely.
That's it.
Defense 7 is nothing to laugh at.
That's it. So Saruman is still advancing up. The crossbows chose to move this turn, and Grima lost his combat, but forced the dwarves to back off because he was surrounded. And little coward Oakenshield is out there trying to run away. So it's just about par for the course. George, why don't we do a priority roll here?
Here we go.
So here we go. So we got another 6 for the Uruk-hai and a 2 for George. So we're going to go ahead and do turn 4 and bring you guys back for an update. So we had the dwarves make an advance. They couldn't quite reach the orcs. They're closing the gap. Kind of forcing my hand, I'm thinking. Had some shooting with the orcs, was not successful at all. Unfortunately, strength 2 bows on defense 7 is problematic at best. We also had a shot from the Uruk-hai crossbow, and the Grimhammers are doing an excellent job of tying up Grima to buy time for Thorn to get over to the other side of the table. Saruman did a heroic march to get himself over and better position to get over and help this flank to try to push on the heirlooms. So for this scenario, the game ends when one force has been reduced to a quarter. So as you can tell by the game and the play style right now, obviously we're a little more reserved because I can't afford to go down to 25% without having that heirloom, and George doesn't want to go down to 25% if he's not holding the heirloom. So interesting strategy going on. It's a little bit like chess right now, but I think in the next couple turns things are going to start happening. So we'll bring you back. Actually, why don't we do a priority roll? Priority roll?
Sure.
It's a 1 and a 1, so it's a tie, so it goes to George. But I'm going to give you a little tiny hint. I think that Saruman may drop the plant here this turn.
Oh, you're going to do it now.
The suspense is killing me.
Too early.
No, I'm not.
That's what I thought.
It's too early. Hard no. We're not going to drop that bomb yet. So we'll bring you back at the end of turn 5. Okay, so here we are. We got some heavy-duty combat going on. We've done our moves. We've done the shooting. This is the first time where the 2 lines have met. So we're going to start. Which side do you want to start? You have priority. You want to start
Let's
here?
go right here. Yeah.
So right here, we're going to do the. You want to break this up 3-on-1?
3-on-1.
Okay, so there's going to be 3 orcs on your single dwarf, and that's a 6. That's cocked. So 5. So the orcs take it. He is trapped. So I'm going to double strikes. What's his defense?
7.
Is 7. Strength is 3.
Needing a 6.
Needing a 6. So nothing,
No 6.
Nothing there.
So you move away.
So we'll move away. Okay, so that one's done.
Yeah, we can move over to 1-on-1.
1-on-1 here. 2 and a 5, so you're going to take that. I'm going to back off.
Nothing.
We got a 2 on 1 die. Oh, there's a 6 anyways. So he takes it, strikes, nothing. Back him off. We've got a 2-on-2 here. 4 highest to 5 will take it, so he's going to make way and back up.
No,
nothing.
strength 4, strength 3, nothing.
No, and then we've got your captain, so it's going to be 3-on-2 there.
Captain are the clear dice.
So
Wins
captain
combat.
takes it with a 6. Back up. Ooh,
oh, wow,
there,
3
nothing
3s.
there. And then finally the orc captain with spear support and sword and shield against your 2. So what I'm going to do is the 2 green OHA dice will be for the captain. And
I'm going to do shielding.
The other 2 are for the support.
Shielding with the clear dice.
Okay. That's a 4 highest, so we take it. And making our strikes.
Cocked.
Cocked die. That's a captain. Yep, I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to burn my last point of might for that.
Oh.
So orcs fared fairly well.
Absolutely.
Fairly well.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap up the turn. We'll bring you back. Actually, what are we on to? We're on to rolling for priority?
Yep.
Let's get that out of the way. Clear die is me. Big one. Big one for the orcs. That was bad. That was bad. Oh, and a one. It's tied. It goes to the orcs. There it is. Big time. Big time. All right, guys. Here we are back at the end of turn 6. We had some pretty epic combats going on in here. The dwarves and the orcs have mingled lines. Each one of us suffering a casualty in that combat, which is actually very surprising. I thought my orcs were definitely going to take a beating there, but not too bad. We have the lowly Uruk-hai crossbowman trying to make his way up. Grima is still bound and determined to try to catch up to Thorin. The Grimhammers are making their way around this outcrop, and Thorin, as the coward that he is hiding behind the bush, fearful of Saruman and his horde, who was lucky enough to get a sorcerer's blast off and take one of the dwarves off the objective. So things are about to get interesting. The white hand is closing in. So, George, why don't we go ahead and roll for priority? Oh, that's a big one.
Oh, there it is.
And it's 2. So
there it is.
The dwarves of Erebor finally get a roll. Hey, buddy.
Oh,
hey, buddy.
time.
There's about time, guys. End of turn 7, and it was a exciting turn. So we had some combats. This is the outcome. The lines are so intermingled, we are having difficulty keeping track. The dwarf captain spent his final point of might trying to wipe out the orc captain. Luckily, the orc captain passed his fate, so he will live to fight at least another turn. Over here, Saruman was actually able to get a sorcerer's blast off on Thorin, which is why you see those 2 prone models, and then a bunch of orcs and Uruk-hai charged in to try to take advantage of that. However, Thorin in all his glory was able to fend them off with a shielding attack. And of course we have Grima, the lowly crossbowman, and some orcs closing in on the heirloom. So, why don't we go ahead and roll priority, George? This is going to be a big one. Actually, you know what? This will be the turn where I will say I'm going to use the Plantier before we roll, so there'll be no roll. Isengard will take priority. We'll bring you back at the end of turn 8. See, it's dragging on. There's no way this is 45 minutes. Just saying. This combat has become very interesting. The dwarves actually paid a high price on that turn, I think. They had a couple guys that were surrounded and got hammered. The Erebor captain did very well. Saruman is finally into the fray after immobilizing Thorin and then booking it over to the objective. So they're putting some pressure on the objective. Over here, Thorin was able to stand up and fend off the Uruk-hai, and there's some random combats going in there. Grima won his combat again, and that crossbowman is sneaking up to give him a hand. So why don't we go ahead and roll for priority, George? So that's a big 3 for the Uruk-hai. And a 3.
Goes over to me.
It's tied. It goes to George. We'll bring this lot is getting awful thin. I don't believe any dwarves fell that turn. Nope. So they did quite well.
We're still 6 down.
Saruman was able to. He lost a combat, but luckily didn't suffer a wound as the dwarf was shielding. So the objective is now definitely contested. We've got Thorin here, who attempted a heroic combat
and fluffed it
and lost to the shielding Uruk-hai. So he is now out of might. I believe everybody is out of might. There's no more might on the table. Grima and the Uruk lost the combat against the Grimhammer, so they backed up. So things are definitely coming down to the wire. This is end of turn 9, beginning of turn 10. We've got no might. Saruman is down to 2 will with his 1 in free store. He still has 3 fate. I believe Thorin's used a fate because he took a wound from the sorcerer's blast.
Remaining.
Coming down to the wire. So I am down to 8. At 11, I break, but you need to get me to 25.
25.
So I need to have 6 models left on the table before that is reached. So I think we got a little bit to go yet. A little bit to go. This is going to be a long game, but there is an awful lot of movement to get to the corner that George unearthed the artifact on. So
2 hours later.
And we forgot we're going to roll for priority. So here it comes. That's a 1 and a 1. Oh my god. Oh my God.
Are you kidding me?
A 1 and a 1. George had priority last turn.
What are you
It
gonna do?
is going to go to the Uruk-hai. And there's nothing anybody can do about
I
it.
can't believe it.
Unreal. George is not having any luck with the dice. We'll bring you back. Then here we are, guys, at the end of turn 10, beginning of turn 11. George is getting
You're welcome, Jason.
rather,
You're welcome. You're
rather frustrated with the die rolling. He can't catch a break. So, as I said before, we're still thinning out here. Lots going on. We went to roll
That's
priority.
what I rolled.
And George rolled a 1. Isengard rolled a 4. So we were able to win a combat, but not successfully kill anybody over here. Thorin and the group are slowly whittling it down. I am now broken, which means I'm going to have to take some courage tests, which could be beneficial to either one of us, because I'm on the objective. So frankly, I would be quite pleased if I broke right now and ended the game. So we will bring you back at the end of turn 11.
11.
Holy shite skis. It's getting real thin. I am running out of chess pieces to try to tie up these dwarves. Saruman's sitting on the objective. They finally killed the one dwarf, but now there's more dwarves coming. It's not looking promising. Thorin is still being tied up, but I am running out of pieces. Defense 6, defense 7 against orcs is tough. Tough to play against these dwarves, but
Add the wonderful rolling that I've been having.
yes, the only reason I'm doing as well and lasting as long as I have is George unfortunately cannot buy a roll, so let's see what he gets here. Priority. Oh, there's a 1. There's no way you
look
can
at
lose. And you rolled a 2. He rolled a 2. He beat me with my 1. At least you get priority, buddy. There's nothing anybody can do. We can't take that from you. Are you ready?
That's what it is. I'm ready.
Let's do, what is this?
do it.
Turn 11, 12, 743. Which one are we on? At the end of 12. Yeah, that's what I said. 12.
Exactly. That's what.
End of turn 12, beginning of turn 13. We thought we were going to get 2 bat reps in. We played 2 lengths of the game already. This is nuts. Really, really getting thin here. Priority is going to be huge. Saruman was able to survive. Had to use 2 points of fate to do it. This priority is going to be enormous. Grima actually got into the fight and struck, so everybody knows he's a bad guy now. So he's on the table. George is very upset at him, so I'm sure he's going to feel George's wrath. Thorin is still lollygagging in the center of the field, doing absolutely nothing. 2 priority, buddy.
Here we go.
That's a
And
4.
of course,
And the classic George 1.
my staple.
Oh, the staple. So Isengard. All right, guys. The game has finally ended. It is now. It's now Wednesday. We started playing this on Tuesday, and it's now Wednesday. So we finally ended the game. This is how the game ended. The model center of your screen there, closest to Saruman, the Grimhammer, was actually transfixed. Saruman was able to beat back the spearman and kept control of the heirloom. So, Thorin unfortunately did absolutely butt kiss, couldn't get in. Grima finally ran away. This poor Uruk-hai that ran halfway across Rohan to contribute. Made it the entire game. But I must say, George, it was a pleasure as always.
It was an
good
awesome game. It was a great
Had
game.
a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we definitely enjoyed this game for sure. So, hope you guys enjoyed the battle rep.
Yep.
We'll get a few more up. That's it from the Forge and an Isengard victory.
It was
Cheers.
a great game.
Epic.
Epic.
We'll see you on the next battle rep.
Cheers, guys.